We are 1 month away from the NBA trade deadline, so we're going to keep doing our job here on the Lakers Report and churning out this content. But before we get started on today's show with more Lakers trade rumors, I want you to do your jobs and get into the comment section right now and give me one player the Lakers should trade for leading into the NBA trade deadline. What's up, Laker Nation? You're watching the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. I hope all of you had a fantastic weekend. Lakers starting to play better basketball right now. I still think this roster could use some reinforcements, and according to Shams Charania, some reinforcements may be on the way. Shams of The Athletic and Stadium saying that the Lakers, a potential suitor for the big man of the Indiana Pacers, who's been rumored to be in trade discussions for quite some time, in Myles Turner. Shams saying rival teams are ramping up trade talks involving Turner as well as Caris LeVert, a very good scoring wingman. The Lakers among some of those squads with reported interest. They are bereft of some top-tier players in that front court at the lone center position. I'm not talking about Anthony Davis or LeBron James. I'm talking strictly about center. They don't have a player on that roster who is of the level of a Myles Turner, and with the NBA trade deadline a month away, these discussions are going to ramp up for the Lakers and all other 29 teams across the NBA. As for the other teams who are going to be vying for the services of Myles Turner, according to Shams, we're talking about the likes of the Dallas Mavericks, the New York Knicks, your Los Angeles Lakers, and the Charlotte Hornets. All of these teams in the thick of playoff races in the Western and Eastern conferences, all teams who could use an upgrade at that center spot. And for Myles Turner going to Los Angeles, I would really like the fit. It has become clear and apparent up to this point that DeAndre Jordan is washed. Dwight Howard at this point isn't the long-term solution at center. And while I kind of like Myles Turner in a roster fit sense this year for Los Angeles and moving forward, he's under contract and he can do a bunch of things really, really well on both ends of the floor. Now, if you watched him collegiately at Texas, he was just an old school big who kind of hung around down low. He's expanded his offensive game since then, though, out to the three-point arc, and he can stretch the floor and play a couple of different styles as well. Now, when you look at the numbers that he's been putting up this year, it's not like they pop out the screen, but like he's a really good big man who night in, night out has shown he can go off for 20, 30 points. He's a walking double-double on some nights when he has ample opportunities. 13 points per game, more than 7 rebounds. Last year, he led the NBA in blocks. Up to this point, he leads the NBA in blocks. So while he can get out to the perimeter offensively, mix it up down low offensively as well, he's a very good rim protector down low on the defensive end of the floor. And of course, when you're that size, you have to be knocking down more than 50% of your field goal attempts. Myles Turner is doing that, but he's also attempting 3-4 three-pointers per night, which just goes to show you that field goal percentage being somewhat impressive for the size, position, and the style in which he plays with. So, Laker Nation, another duty for you, because you're just as much as part of the show as I am as the host. What do you think is the Lakers' biggest need ahead of the NBA trade deadline? And feel free to expand on your thoughts in the comment section. Either way, do that right now. Lakers' big men on the roster: the aforementioned Dwight Howard, as well as DeAndre Jordan, backups at this point. If you're relying on those guys to give you starting minutes, that just ain't it. Now, Anthony Davis trying to come back from that knee injury he suffered several weeks ago, hopefully closing in on a return. Up to this point and prior to that injury, the 23 points per game, certainly a solid number, almost 10 rebounds per night, but the eye test kind of told you that Anthony Davis wasn't up to par with what the expectations were, and the player that we've seen him be previously throughout his NBA career was very frustrating up to that point. But hopefully, when he's able to come back, he gives the Lakers more help down low. And looking at that graphic that we showed you moments ago, LeBron James, a big man. No, he's not a traditional big guy. He's been starting games at center for the Los Angeles Lakers, which really is just crazy. I mean, anything that you ask LeBron James to do after he turns 37 years old, he's willing to do it. And also, averaging almost 29 points per game. So a little bit of a stretch to say that he is a traditional center, but he's been playing center in the positionless NBA that we currently exist in right now. now. So Myles Turner to Los Angeles, I think this is something that we're going to continue to talk about here on the Lakers Report. And if it does happen, that's great. And we're also going to get into some more trade candidates on today's show. The problem here with LA and the problem with trading for anybody, not just for Myles Turner, the lack of trade assets on the team right now. Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, Malik Monk, maybe, but outside of that, you're kind of cap-strapped and you don't have a lot of player assets to give up either. Speaking of giving up your money, you don't really have to do that with this Lakers shirt, which is currently on sale, limited time only. If you plug in that link down below, it's chatsports.com/LakersT. Fanatics really does have some phenomenal deals, including this Lakers shirt for less than $20. You can get it right now by using that link down below. Have to use that link for that deal to apply, chatsports.com/LakersT. I'll put that link in the comments section as well as the description of this video. Another trade candidate to get to, and it's a player who a lot of Lakers fans are really interested in. That's Jerami Grant of the Detroit Pistons. In this article from Shams, he too listed as a potential Lakers trade candidate. Shams saying Lakers also pursuing Grant prior to that NBA trade deadline. He is currently sidelined with a right thumb injury. That is not an injury that is expected to last really for a long time. He's just been out for the last several weeks because of that thumb injury. Anytime you're playing basketball, we've all gotten stripped. We've all gotten hit. It's kind of what happens a lot when you play the game of basketball. Happened with Jerami Grant, but he is expected to come back in the foreseeable future from that injury. And he's one of the bigger names in the NBA trade deadline market as we approach this really big date in the NBA calendar. I've kind of said this about Jerami Grant before here on the Lakers Report. Solid player. And his growth, as we're about to show you, really has been phenomenal over the last several years. He's solid, though, and that's the key word to hone in on here. Solid, but I don't know how much he moves the needle and how much he kind of changes the course or the complexion of the Lakers season. But I do want to talk about the development of Jerami Grant. First 6 years, second-round pick out of Syracuse for Philadelphia in the Sam Hinkie era. First 6 years, he was with Philly, OKC, and Denver. 9 points per game, 4 rebounds per, 1 assist, only 7 field goal attempts. Now, he goes to Detroit after really having a good final year with the Denver Nuggets. Got this deal that a lot of people were surprised about, including yours truly. And I was like, you're paying that much for Jerami Grant? It's been worth it in terms of what he's given you in the statistical department. Almost 22 points per game, while with the Pistons in 78 games, 4.5 boards, and the field goal attempts, they've gone up from 7 to almost 17. Now, something to monitor for Jerami Grant in terms of if he gets traded to the Lakers. There is no scenario and no world in which we live in that Jerami Grant is going to be chucking up around 17 points per game for a Lakers team that also features Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis when he's healthy, and some of the other streaky shooters on this team. What he would give you, though, an impact player on both ends of the floor who can do a bunch of kind of everything, mix it up, positional versatility, which I, of course, like in today's modern-day NBA. Going to challenge you with this next question, Laker Nation. Pick one player to trade for and one player only. If it came down to either Myles Turner or Jerami Grant, two of the big subject matters of today's show, type MT for Myles Turner if you'd prefer him. Type JG for Jerami Grant. You let me know in the comment section. I'm going to circle back because I'm fascinated to see what you all have to say. If a Lakers trade does happen, who has you covered? Us right here on the Lakers Report. Just surpassed 40,000 subscribers. We've really continued to grow very, very rapidly. Big reason for that, our consistency. We're not Big J journalists here. We like to have fun. We like to talk about some of these trade ideas. We're also consistent, and I'd like to believe that me, Harrison, whoever hosts the show here, usually it's us two, maybe even me, we can relate to the audience too. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for the best, most informative, and entertaining Lakers coverage here on YouTube. Lastly, before we get out of here on this fine Monday, LeBron James continuing to get in the record books and set records. He just passed Oscar Robertson for 7th all-time on the assist leaders list, and he is now among really elite company. We're talking about the John Stocktons of the world, the Jason Kidds, Chris Paul at number 3, Steve Nash, Mark Jackson. These are some of the best distributors in NBA history. What's funny, though, is that all of these guys that we're breaking down in the 1 through 5 and 6 through 10 spots are prototypical classic point guards. LeBron James is not, but his all-around impact, and the fingerprints that he puts on the game, scoring, rebounding, dishing, leadership, offense, defense, longevity, all part of the conversation of what makes LeBron James one of the GOATs. I mean, for him to be 7th all time, within reach of Magic Johnson, and some of the other guys who we broke down in those 1 through 5 spots really is crazy. And it's crazy to think that there is plenty of gas left in the tank for LeBron James. He's having one of the best years of his career. Think about that. Sit back, no matter where you are, your phone, tablet, computer, TV, whatever, and wherever you're watching. Sit back and think about this, that at 37 years old, LeBron James is having one of the best single seasons of his entire career. Tom Brady, LeBron, these guys defying Father Time. It is absolutely nuts. And if you don't appreciate and admire it, I think you're in the wrong, because we're never going to see a player like LeBron James ever again. Before his career is over, where will he be on the all-time assists list? Say that 10 times fast and then answer the question. Just fill in the blank and let me know. Is it going to be number 5? Is it going to be number 3? Is it going to be number 6? You let me know. And as always, thanks for watching today's show.